Hey, thanks, Courtney. Appreciate that. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining. This is going to be a short 30-minute demo presentation, and so it's recorded. Anything that you miss, feel free to replay at any time. So I'm going to jump in right away and get going. This is me, Randy Johnson. My full name, Randall Johnson. That's my email, randall.johnson@spearmc.com. That's literally my phone number. You can send me a text right now and it will go through. You won't get a bot. And so take that information down, whether you want to contact me about this or anything else that SpearMC does. Happy to take your call, your email, your text. We are all over the place this week. This is the list of presentations that we're going to be involved in. And so hopefully there's a lot out there. And of course, this is just the SpearMC content. It's not meant to highlight every session that's offered this week. But I think that if you did just attend SpearMC sessions, you're going to get a whole lot out of this week. This is us. I'm going to go quickly about SpearMC slides. And if you've not met SpearMC or have you not been in a presentation, then you need to take a look. But at the end of the day, I should say, what I want you to learn is that we have a super relationship with Oracle. In all aspects of Oracle. So these circles out here all represent different factions of Oracle, and SpearMC can be the point right there in the Venn diagram that ties it all together for you, whether it's tech reps and strategy that focus on PeopleSoft, Oracle University training, guided learning, or the Apps Unlimited team that actually still sell the PeopleSoft applications. We're engaged with all of them in our partnership at Oracle. And we are engaged with all of them because of our deep expertise and focus in the PeopleSoft product line. So I say this in all of my sessions. If you walk away, other than wanting to talk to me more about segregation of duties, if you walk away with just one nugget from this session, walk away with this, that SpearMC equals PeopleSoft. That's what we do. Everything we do starts or ends with the PeopleSoft product, okay? We are the Oracle University partner when it comes to PeopleSoft. I have my my little gizmo here in the way of the QR code. Interested in learning more about our training and our Oracle University partnership, go ahead and grab that QR code and learn more. Or come out to our website and you can see all of the classes and webinars that we've got. Okay, let's get to the topic, okay, and that is segregation of duties. And in this case, what we are talking about is a PeopleSoft component of your organization's internal control structure. Okay, so when we talk about segregation of duties as a key internal control, we're talking about it being systematic. Okay, in other words, you are using your system to rely on a control you are declaring to be a key control. And whenever you do that, you have to be able to provide audit evidence that that control is in place. And so what I have to do, and I apologize in advance for this part of the boring presentation, I do have to give you a little bit of a background of the PeopleSoft security structure. You may already know this, many of you. If you don't, there's three levels, if you will, of the PeopleSoft security structure. So you've got pages that you give individuals access to. A page is anytime you go to PeopleSoft and you go and you navigate and you get to a screen that you can enter data on, that's a page. That's called a page. Okay, and that page, you are granted access to that page, different types of access. You can have add, which means you can create new records of that particular transaction type. you can update, meaning you can change transactions of that transaction type. Update display, kind of similar to update. In fact, I'll get to this in a second, the display, but update and update display are exactly the same thing if you don't click the display only checkbox. Okay, so if you say, I'm going to update display, and you don't check that display only checkbox, then you might as well have just said update. Same thing. Okay, update display is display only if it's checked, the checkbox. Then there's correct history, which sometimes I think we've all experienced you need to have, unfortunately. You need to sometimes have correct history to create and update and maintain your system, just the way it is. However, it is usually a no-no from a security administration perspective to give many users correct history access to pages, especially transaction level pages. It overwrites the history. You lose the integrity of the states that data was in before you, if you're allowed to correct history. Okay, so that's pages. So everyone gets it. You log into PeopleSoft, you navigate, you get to it, you do something, that's a page. And there's different permutations of pages, there's sub-pages, mobile windows, and so forth. But essentially, if I'm going to do data entry, transactional data recording, I'm on a page in PeopleSoft. And then what we have are permission lists, okay? And so you, in the very beginning, when you rolled out PeopleSoft, you designed what your permission lists were. And it's a grouping of pages. So think of it as a many-to-one relationship. How many pages are you going to put on a permission list? And you might have one permission list that says, I'm going to give them access, and this permission list is add, update, and you might have a different permission list that's the same page, but it would be display only, okay? Two different permission lists. So pages go to permission lists, and permission lists should be aggregated as groupings of pages that are combined to do a logical business process based on your business requirements, okay? Lastly, you take those second to lastly, because I'll get to that in a second, but you combine permission lists then into roles. So you've got multiple pages on a permission list, and then you can take multiple permission lists and combine them into a role. That's the hierarchy of security and setup, design, and administration in PeopleSoft. So the roles then are many permission lists into a role. And you can have the same permission list show up in different roles for the organization. But the idea, once again, is as we're building our roles, is what is that unique set of permission lists that a specific user should be able to do in order to get their job accomplished, okay? So it's overall business process at the role level. Now, I said second to last because the last piece of the pie here is I assign roles to individual user IDs, user profiles. So each user that logs into PeopleSoft will have one or more roles, and those roles have permission lists, and the permission lists have page access. I will tell you that if you have the same page in multiple permission lists, and one of those permission lists grants you display only, but others grant you add and update, you get the greater of that security access. And so if you've got two permission lists that maybe shouldn't have been combined in a role, or two roles that shouldn't have been combined, you get the greater of, or the more ability to make updates into the system, okay? So user profiles, that's what everyone uses when they log on to PeopleSoft and they have their menu and page access. They're assigned to individual system users. They're also assigned to systematic users that you may have for batch processing and so forth. Okay, that's the hierarchy of security in PeopleSoft. Again, I have to apologize for how boring that piece gets. Now, in your original design, I suspect, I believe that everyone wants to declare that they're setting up PeopleSoft with the right level of roles and the permission lists that are on those and page access to the permission lists that would provide a segregation of duties, security, and that you could rely on that then for your for your internal controls. And more than likely, you got together in your design and you came up with the pages that you think should and should not coexist for users to be able to do their job, and certainly for what would constitute a violation of your security of segregation of duties rules. And maybe, I hope, when you first went live with PeopleSoft, you had a perfect scenario. But over time, I'm here to tell you, they degrade. Unfortunately, systems just get maintained, and over time, we don't have a watchful eye on making sure that we don't introduce segregation of duties into our beautiful design that we went live with. And so as you are experiencing, the natural care and feeding and evolution of your PeopleSoft system, there's going to be maintenance to the permission lists. It might be that there, with the PUMs that came out, or you did a full upgrade and there's a bunch of new pages, new functions, new features that were introduced, and you want to give users access to those pages. And maybe you're not paying attention and not properly defining which permission list should get those new pages. Or it could be, remember I said update display, if you don't check the box, it's update. You might have, with all great intentions, thought you were designing a display only permission list, and somebody forgot to check the box. Or even worse, a update comes along and for some reason it deselects the display only flag for you and nobody notices. One way or another, if that flag isn't checked, we've got a problem. I will say, well, no, I'm going to remind me to talk about display only here when I talk about what we've built as our solution. And then it could simply come down to user requests and the just natural inclination for all of us to want to be able to work together. And so a user simply requests access to a page. They don't have it in one of their permission lists, and a security administrator grants it to them without realizing the ramifications of all of the pages that come with that request. Likewise, we maintain roles over time, right? After you have gone live in PeopleSoft, you're going to start to realize, you know what? We've got roles out there that maybe should have display only access to some pages because they're constantly having to do a query, or they're constantly having to reach out to their colleagues and get information. And if we could just create new roles and have that magical display only as one of the permission lists, it would be spectacular. So we maintain roles, or at a user level, a user gets a promotion and their job duties change, and we give them the roles they need, but we forget to take away the roles that they had. So as they get promoted, let's say to supervisor, now perhaps they have access to approval screens, but they're still able to enter the data that they can then turn around and approve themselves. And so as users' job duties change, we could accidentally introduce segregation of duties conflicts. And then we may have a large volume of new system users. Maybe there's a merger or an acquisition and we're just bringing in lots of users, and the level of detail that we have might not be enough for us to pre-assign the correct roles to those users, and we may over-assign specific users with roles. And then you might roll out new modules in PeopleSoft. You might be introducing, I don't know, maybe you just went live with accounts payable and now you're rolling out e-procurement and purchasing. and you didn't take a step back and look at, okay, this is a new module. What should we be planning for between these modules and the ones that exist? And so as you expand your system profile, you may not be as mindful as if you were to deploy everything all at once. This is how it happens, and it happens across the board. You're not alone. Just is what it is. And sometimes, frankly, you just have to have a violation because of the size of an office in some satellite location. Okay. Now let's take a look at the solution. I'm about halfway through my 30 minutes, and I haven't even done a part of the demo yet, right? So let's get there. What did we do? What did we build? We built, if you go back to 3 slides ago, and I belabored the point of security design, at the fundamental level, it's 2 pages that you shouldn't have access to, right? You should not be able to update page 1 and update page 2 based on a rule that you have that says these 2 functions should not coexist. Shouldn't be able to add a vendor and create a voucher. I should not be able to do that. And we talked about this. You do those things at the page level. So we built our analyzer to just look at 2 pages. And of course, there's a matrix of that, but a rule is page 1, page 2. Can you do it? Can you do it? If you can, doesn't matter how you got it. Doesn't matter if we gave you 2 pages in a permission list or 2 roles that shouldn't coexist. Irrelevant. There's a conflict. A user or any user that has that combination has a conflict. Okay. So page to page rules is how we built our rule set. We pre-built well over 500 rules. Probably the majority of those in the financial supply chain module, some over in HCM as well, that we can provide to you as a seed for all of the rules that you would want to build within your organization. Every organization has a different set of PeopleSoft modules that they've implemented, and so your rules may be different than any other customer that's out there. What we've done then is that pre-built set of rules are out there. You can go look at them, you can maintain them, or you can configure your own. So the rule set is a configuration page that you would obviously a user that has appropriate access would have access to be able to add and update, inactivate rules that apply to your organization. So it's configurable. And then if you happen to be using unified navigation, we can even create rules that compare pages in HCM with page access in financials. And we can't do that unless you have unified navigation turned on, though. We have built, and you'll see this, PeopleSoft Insights. And so PeopleSoft Insights will give you detailed analytics of the rules after you've run the violation process to see where your rule violations exist. When we deliver it, it looks like this. There's actually now a 5th tile that is, you can run a report to show all of the active rules that you'll be evaluating when you run the rules engine. Okay. So that is to provide to your auditors so that they can see the entire list of rules that you're scouring the system looking for. Let me also just tell you, where we ran this in our SPRMC development environment has demo users. And so in your organization, you would almost never see 22,000. That's a lot of conflicts, segregation duties conflicts. As I drill in, you're going to see there's a permission list called all pages or all panels that is out there. And that's the culprit here in our environment. But let's assume that you run this in your organization and you've turned on all of the rules. We would expect to see somewhere in the, maybe 1,000 types of conflicts that are out there that you have to address. Let's take a look at some of these. I'm going to go into this tile here, the rules definition tile, because this is where the configuration happens. We pre-deliver a set of rules, and I've got a recorded video here so I don't have to bounce out. And I'm going to let it play. We're going to go in and I'm going to pause. I'm going to let it play and then I pause right away. When we set up the rules, we start with what is the product? What is page 1 product, and we create it from there. So here we're going to go into our accounts payable rules. And here we have page 1. Now, this is boring. I'm sorry. We have a description of the rule. We have what is the menu component page path in PeopleSoft. This is where you get to the page access, okay? And what we've done is we've set this up so we can enter our page 1, and then over here we enter what is the other page, the offending page that should not coexist with access, okay? Page 1 and page 2. We look at page 1, page 2, and over here we see what is the update access or the let me move my the access mode on these pages. And here we've got correct history for maintaining our vendor ID. Okay, as we move over in this recorded video into page 2, let me get there. Page 2, we're saying, okay, I want to evaluate updating a vendor, adding a vendor, and creating payments in my AP pay cycle. I'm saying these two things shouldn't coexist. And we're saying page 1, vendor ID, the main vendor page. You do have to know your pages to be able to understand the functions that individuals can do on those pages. And page 2, pay cycle manager, adding new pay cycles. I'm saying that's a rule. I want to evaluate the entire system to see if any user has both of those access modes for both of those pages. If they do, it gets written to our violations table and reported. Okay, so that's the setup. We've got a plus here. You can add effective dated rows. So each time you run this process, let's say you're doing it for your annual audit review, to provide evidence that you've analyzed for any type of segregation of duties, we can simply insert a row and say, as of my effective date of today or the last month, here is what we had, here's what our users had. We have 12 violations or we have 1,200, whatever the answer is. So we can insert that. We deliver all of those pre-built rules as inactive so that you can pick and choose which rules you're going to activate. And then let's see if I get to the side over here. Keep going. Oh boy. Oh, shoot. All right. It doesn't look like I did, but there's a plus button over here. So if I want to add a new rule and say, okay, I want to compare AP with accounts receivable. I don't want my user to be able to enter an accounts payable invoice and apply cash in accounts receivable, cash receipts. That's a no-no. Those two shouldn't coexist. So module 1 and module 2 can be different and more than likely is different for many of your SOD violations. AP to AR, perfectly fine, highly recommend, okay? Lots of our rules are delivered that way. So I think you get it. I'm not going to belabor the point any more than that. That's how you receive our pre-built rules. That's how you evaluate which ones you think you want to keep, maybe tweak a little bit. I didn't show this, but there's a severity, high, medium, low. If you think, these two pages shouldn't coexist, but if they do, I'm going to flag it as a low priority, low severity. And I want the really, really important ones to be high so I can focus just on those, filter and focus on those. Okay? So that, as fast as I could go, was setting up the rules definition. I'm going to skip this page. This page is a list of all of it. I absolutely skipped this page. It's boring. It's a run control. It has no parameters. It's just run my SOD engine for every active rule out there and write that to my list of conflicts. I have a table that lists every SOD conflict out there. Okay. Once it's been run, and it can take a while to run, especially the first time, then I can start looking at my violations. And there's two places I can go to look at, three places I can go to look at this. We built queries that aren't even displayed here that you can use to get your listing and filter your listing of violations. we've got a page that we built that you can do the same thing. You can filter on and look at the violations that have occurred. I'm only gonna do this so I can show you the page itself. And once you're in there, you can take a look, but we haven't built any drill down functionality or anything like this. This simply gives you an ability to filter on a preset of criteria to see where and who we have as violations in the system. Okay, so that's the page. That's the violation results page. Here, the reason we built our, I'm going to say Cabana, and I'm just going to, that's what I call it, but I know it's PeopleSoft Insights. We built this because there were performance issues on the previous page, especially when we're talking about 22,000 violations because of that all panels issue. And so if you happen to have an organization that maybe for some reason on accident has a large number, you might have received that same performance issue. So, and it's not just that, right? We wanted to build many visualizations using the tool to be able to drill into what is it that's going on with these violations. So we've got total conflicts. We've got permission lists with conflicts. We've got role names with conflicts. And down here, unique. I'm gonna cut to the chase because I only have 2 minutes left. The end of this, the big punchline was there's only one unique permission list that's causing all of this mess to happen. Okay, and as we drill in and find that, we can deal with that permission list. We can either take it away from the roles or simply get rid of it or find the issue that is causing all of these things to happen within that permission list and fix it so that every permission list that has those pages, every role that has that permission list can be fixed all in one fell swoop. We've got a lot of visualizations out here, the top conflicts by role name, the top conflicts by user and severity, the products, the side-by-side products down here. So this would be AP to AP. This is AP to GL. This is blue. AP, oh no, blue was AP. AP to GL, AP to AP, AP to Treasury. So we've got all kinds of conflicts going on out there, either within the module itself or across modules that are creating these offending rows that get written to our. Now, ultimately, what we built is the ability to drill. And if you're a security administrator, I'm going to drill down. I'm going to apply it. I'm going to say Randy's a bad boy and he's got lots of those violations. Over here, we built links to go and fix the problem straight from your analytics page. You can only do this if you have security administrator rights, right? So this is intended for your security administrator to realize where your problems are and go fix them. And in this particular scenario, we log into the role itself that is offending. The role was the administrator. We go and we say, nope, they shouldn't have all pages permissionless. We're going to remove that row. And that's going to fix, I don't know how many thousands of rows in our violations. I do that, and anyone with that role that was showing up in the violations report is going to drop from the list because of that role. It looks like I've got many roles that I have to deal with that have this. I might go to the permission list and see what 2 pages are here that are causing my conflict and fix it that way. So I'm at the top of the hour. And Courtney, I don't know if we have any questions out there in the chat, but I don't think I have time to answer them. I think I'm out of time. I will promise to answer them. I want you to remember who I am. Oh, here's what we're doing next. Look at all that. Contact me. I will get you any additional details you need. I will answer your questions. Courtney, thank you. I'm sorry I took so much time.
No, you're fine. It ended perfectly. And I don't see any questions in, but hopefully they'll reach out if they have any questions.